Oulton Park hosts the 12th round of the historic Formula 4 Championship. This weekend sponsored by Grandstand Motorsports, offering a wide range of hotels, racing and hospitalities with unrivaled access. Cars on their green flag lap then for this 12th round of the Championship here at the Gold Cup on the Oulton Park International Circuit. 35 cars took part in qualifying this morning on a damp circuit. Only 32 of those cars, though, can race. Early entries were necessary. Callum Grant then on pole position. He hasn't competed all the way to this season. Alongside him is former single-seater racer Mark Shaw, but modern single-seater racer in Formula 3 and Formula 3000 in the past. Mark Shaw joined the series at Croft. James Buckton starts third. He's one of the championship contenders. Championship leader Richard Mitchell not here this weekend. Robert Wainwright starts in 4th place. We can go aboard with Jonathan Baines then for the start of the race. On the inset you can see the leaders get away. It's a good start for Callum Grant. An awful start though for Jonathan Baines. He goes backwards. You can see it was a good start as well from Danny Stanzel. Stanzel then trying to gain some positions into Oulton for the first time. Everyone goes through the corner safely, hopefully 2 or 3 abreast in some instances. You see the track, it's still damp in places. It's a massive lead though from Callum Grant. That was a great start from him. James Buckton's got himself ahead of Mark Shaw, so Buckton into 2nd, Shaw down to 3rd. Robert Wainwright in 4th place as they go out of Cascades and down Lakeside towards Island Bend, the fast left-hander. And Callum Grant raced in the historic Formula 4 2000 Championship just an hour or so ago. So here know what the conditions are like, a bit better than everybody else. They're sort of venturing into the unknown, and that's allowing Callum Grant really to get away. He's got a massive lead after Shellwall's hairpin. He's 1.5 seconds faster than anybody this morning in qualifying too. James Buckton then in 2nd into Britons with Shaw and Wainwright and Michael Mallock right behind him. So 4 cars battling for 2nd place as they go over Hilltop and down towards the Knickerbrook chicane. Tiff Liddell also returning this weekend in his Lotus 69. He qualified 7th. See how he gets on. Bertie Gaviri's in 6th ahead of Liddell, then Brian Morris in 8th. Rose Svensson all over the curbs, getting himself ahead of Rob Smith for 9th spot. The field flow their way through these 2 chicanes safely, it seems. It was drizzling this morning. The rain has stopped now though. We can go on board with Kevin Stanzel. He started in 16th in his Merlin through Druids, part of the circuit that is probably the dampest underneath the trees there. They turn their way now into Lodge Corner, side by side up in front. That's Baird and Kevin's son Dunny. Across the line for Grant. He's got this massive lead. It's absolutely huge. Mark Shaw up to 2nd. He's got ahead James Buckton. It's a 3.6 second lead for Grant. But Shaw has got himself ahead of James Buckton, and Buckton was under all sorts of pressure from Robert Wainwright. And Michael Mallock was 5th with Bertie Gaviri in 6th, and the gap back to Brian Morris, who's got himself into 7th. Through Cascades they go then, and Buckton's held on to 3rd. He stayed ahead of Robert Wainwright there, and not falling too far away from the lone speed sport car of Mark Shaw. This championship leader Richard Mitchell not here this weekend after 2 crashes at Croft last time out. 2 or 3 wide in the mid-pack there. And there's Grant, already down towards the Britain chicane. These long trainer cars for 2nd. Great race in here with Shaw and Buckton at the head of it. Mark Shaw just trying to break away now. Trying to see if he can do anything about that 3.6 second advantage that Callum Grant's got himself on that opening lap. So it's the 2 Aldens at the front of this battle, Buckton and Wainwright, and then the Mallock and the Cavantis, the 2 rather unusual cars compared to the 2 Aldens, which you'll see quite a few of in the field. James Lovett ahead of Alex Meek in a good battle there. On board with Stuart Baird. There's a car going slow. That's Tiff Liddell. He's been on the grass out of the Knickerbrook chicane. Can Baird gain an advantage? No, I don't think so. But Rob Smith, Rose Vence and Brian Morris have done. Into Druids Bend then. The double right-hander. Double apex right-hander. Now down towards Lodge Corner. Baird looking in his mirrors. It's Danny Stanzel trying to challenge him into Lodge. And he does. He's trying to go round the outside again. Don't think he's able to do it this time though. Up over the brow and down towards Oulton. It's Callum Grant now a 4.7 second lead. He pulled out another second on Mark Shaw. Definitely drier than it was this morning though. They're already going 10 seconds faster. Buckton staying third and staying with Shaw. Let's take a look at these then. They turn in towards Cascades. The pair of them pulling away from Robert Wainwright in the second part of that lap. Wainwright also racing the Guards Trophy yesterday. That race was won by Callum Grant, who was sharing a car with Max Bartel. And off, that's Nadell again. He's gone off twice in half a lap. The former Formula 1 driver, British touring car racer, then off the circuit. He does rejoin, but he'll be much further down the field. He definitely lost out to Baird and Stanzel at least in that. See Buckton really putting the pressure back on Mark Shaw. Crucial points can be gained this weekend by James Buckton, with Richard Mitchell not competing. Robert Wainwright not that far back in the championship either, so he'll be wanting a good result. There's Tiff Nadell battling with Kevin Stanzel as Michael Mallock tries to challenge Robert Wainwright. Mallock's first time in the series this season today. He was a winner here last year. Roland Svensson's got himself ahead of Brian Morris, with Rob Smith behind a pair of them and Stuart Baird. There's Danny Stanzel, ahead of his dad. He's got Tiff Nadell all over the back of him. We've got Alistair Littlewood, who's not a regular competitor this season. Andrew Wiggins has got ahead of James Lovett, who's got Alex Meek bearing up the rear of his gearbox. Another battle further down the field. That's Michael Richings and Lexus just ahead of Phil Nelson's Hawk. On board of Kevin Stanton we can go once more, heading down towards Lodge Corner. Down the inside comes Nadell and he goes through. Place gained then for the fifth gear presenter. It's between the two Stanzels now. Danny up ahead. Kevin Stanzel trying to tack back into Old Hall. Nadell was feeling the need to defend that. Jonathan Baines trying to through the field. Matt Thompson's low to 61. He goes down the inside of the gate, gets that place done. There was a switch ahead of Baines as well, as Alex Meek caught the better of James Lovett. Lovett fighting back, looking to the outside in towards Old Hall. Can't do that. Instead Baines goes down the inside. He gets another place. Fell way down the field on that opening lap and he's having to recover now. We've lost Buckton. Buckton not there no more. So at the third comes Michael Mallock. He's got himself ahead of Robert Wainwright. So 2 places gained for Mallock and a big gap back to the 5th place car, who is Roland Svensson, and there is James Buckton. So Buckton fell down to 6th place there. He's obviously made a mistake. He didn't come across the line in he did come across the line in 6th place that last time by, so it was towards the end of the last lap. Brian Morris attacked Rob Smith. The pair of those go side by side through Knickerbrook chicane and Morris gets the better of Smith. He goes through and Stuart Baird now chasing Smith. He's in his slipstream heading up the hill towards Druids. Lap 4 of the race now. Last time by it was Callum Grant leading by 5.4 seconds to Mark Shaw. Shaw had a couple of seconds to the Mallock and Wainwright battle. Mallock, since passing the line, has got past Wainwright. Down towards Lodge Corner then. Brian Morris, a big slide through Lodge. Roland Svensson staying ahead of James Buckton for now, but across the line this time Grant's lead has come down by a tenth or so. 5.28 is the gap between him and Shaw now, but the fastest lap of the race being done by Michael Mallock, 1:53.09, as he catches Mark Shaw. He was over 2 seconds behind, now it's 1.3. Mallock flying, and Svensson being attacked by James Buckton. Buckton can't get past, and now Brian Morris, he goes through. So Buckton, instead of gaining the place, he loses one. Down to 7th place he goes. Heads up into 6th, as come Brian Morris then. They turn their way onto Island Bend, and Morris now attacking Svensson up into Shell Oil's hairpin. He goes down the inside, he goes through then, so 2 places gained in 2 corners for Brian Morris. And now James Buckton trying to follow him through. Buckton, can he regain 6th place? No, he can't. Roden Svensson staying there for now. So 5th, 6th, 7th will turn their way into Britain Chicane. Just ahead of Smith, Baird and Kaviri, who's out over the grass. Board with Roland Svensson. In the inset you can see Andrew Wiggins, who's chasing Alex Meek. So 2 battles to watch into the Knickerbrook Chicane as James Buckton goes down the inside of Roland Svensson. He gets it done this time, he's into 6th. He's chasing the Neil Fowler prepared car of Brian Morris now as Wiggins passes Meek into the Knickerbrook Chicane on the inset. So we're on to lap 5 of the motor race. Watching the battle for 5th, board with Roland Svensson in his Merlin Mark 17, slightly older version than some of his competitors. Brian Morris in the Lola and James Buckton in the Oulton. Buckton's got a good run onto the start and finish straight. He's going to the outside of Brian Morris. Brian Morris tries to come back to the racing line. There's contact between the 2 cars. They both barrel into the tyre wall at Old Hall. That's him out of the race. That's James Buckton out of the race. So he won't be scoring any points. He won't be closing in on Richard Mitchell in those championship standings. So that has promoted Roland Svensson into 5th. 6th place for Rob Smith and 7th for Stuart Baird. Within 8th, Percy Kaviri. So what was a fantastic 6-car battle, now down to 2 pairs it seems. The Danny Stansel, Tiff Liddell and Kevin Stansel trying to chase those down. Danny Stansel keeping Tiff Liddell at bay nicely. A 2.5 between them as Baird goes up on the inside to gain a place. He's already got ahead of Rob Smith on this lap, and now he gains the position on Roland Svensson. Callum Grant into the Knickerbrook Chicane, having a pretty lonely race. 5.5 second margin to Mark Shaw, who's got Michael Mallock now all over the back of him in that battle for 2nd.
Michael Mallock side by side into his box.
4th place for Robert Wainwright, and there's a big gap back to the 5th spot, which is Stuart Baird now, after we saw him gain that position at the Shell Oil's hairpin. Into Knickerbrook they go. Then we've got Kaviri behind. Smith got missing. Yes, Rob Smith has disappeared it seems, as Wiggins and Meek having a great battle. Wiggins goes round the outside of Meek, and Jono Baines has closed in on those now. And then James Lovett having the battle with Matt Thompson, who's enjoying his first race with historic Formula Ford this season. And Andrew Mansell ahead of Mike Wales there. On board with Baines. Up the hill towards Druid he goes, underneath the pedestrian bridge. Now the racing line is distinctly drier than offline. Baines was thinking about going down the inside there at Meek, decided against it. Launch corner may be a better place for that, because there seems to be no distinctive racing line as there was at Druid, but that might, the line being a lot drier than elsewhere. But Baines has a massive sideways moment through Lodge Corner. He does save it, but he loses a lot of time to those 2 cars ahead. Roland Svensson goes off wide. He's on the grass, so Kaviri gains a position there. So down to 7th for Svensson. Callum Grant's lead has been extended on this lap, 6.3 seconds to Mark Shaw, who's still under pressure from Michael Mallock. Mallock really trying hard to find a way ahead of the Caterham racer. More recently, before that though, Formula 3, Formula 3000. Baines has got between Wiggins and Meek now. They go over Hilltop, then they dive down toward the Knickerbrook Chicane. There goes Dick Dixon in his Lotus. One of the biggest grids of Formula Ford Lotuses this weekend, we've seen for quite some time. We've got Dick Dixon there, Matt Thompson, Tiff Liddell all out in Lotuses, as well as Keith Hazel and Nigel Adams. So 5 Lotuses on the grid. On board with Danny Stanzel down towards Island Bend. Stanzel has kept a second and a half to Tiff Liddell for quite some time now, ever since Liddell went off the circuit. And now Stanzel closing on Rollins Benson. It just made that mistake recently. So what can he do about Svensson? Who has good pace through the British chicane there. Danny Stanzel in the Oulton. Checking his mirrors there. Seeing how close Tiff is. He's not challenging this time, is he? Thumps the curb through Knickerbrook to Stanzel. You see Stuart Baird up the road having to defend from Perty Kaviri for 5th place. Down into Druids they go. Down a gear and a spin. Svensson spins. So that made Danny Stanzel's life a bit easier to gain 7th place. Jonathan Baines continuing his charge through the field. Well, he's cleared Andrew Williams. He's now on to Alistair Littlewood. Baines was 2 seconds faster on the previous lap. Good pace. Pace to be in that battle for 5th, really. Not a good qualifying session this morning, an even worse start. Put him way down in the pack. Going to the outside of Littlewood. Littlewood defence, he stays ahead for now. But you really get the feeling it won't be long before Baines passes, and it's starting to get an overlap. It's got a complete overlap into Oulton. He goes through down the inside, gains another spot. There's Callum Grant. He's your race leader. There's Sean Mallock. Just 5 seconds back. In the last few laps they've closed the gap in a bit to Grant. There's Robert Wainwright, he's 4th. Not living with the pace of the leaders today, which is a bit unusual. Then you have a best part of a 20-second margin back to Stuart Baird, so we'll have to wait till they see how big of a gap it is. Baird's come through the field nicely, hasn't he? Because he was towards the back of the top 10. He's just ahead of Kaviri. They've just lapped the car, and Danny Stanzel's going to have to deal with that, and he's got Tiff Liddell right behind him with his dad Kevin there as well. Both of Stanzels having a good race. Then Roland Svensson, after his spin, is next up. Ahead of Baines, he's got ahead of Littlewood, then Wiggins and Meek. Next up's Matt Thompson's Lotus. He's starting to pull away from James Lovett now. There's Dick Dixon ahead of Andrew Mansell. So on board with Baird, who's been passed by Kaviri. So that's a switch. Kaviri up into 5th then. He's defending into Lodge. Baird looking to the outside. Challenging really hard on the outside line, but Kaviri was sticking to his inside line. He managed to get the car stopped to get into the apex of the corner. It really made it pretty much impossible for Baird to go through. So Kaviri in 5th, but Baird fighting back. He's going down the inside. He gets placed back then. Good racing between the pair of them. They turn into Cascade. Stanzel still ahead of the Liddell. Down towards Island Bend they go then. 5-car battle. So Stanzel, Liddell and Kevin Stanzel have worked hard at catching the cars ahead. And they've done it now. And that last lap, Stanzel, what, a second and a half faster than the cars ahead of him. And we've lost Michael Mallock. Mallock out. He's had an incident at Druids. And that has promoted this to be the battle for 4th, the best of the non-podium cars. It's Stuart Baird at the head of it. Out of Britons, over Hilltop goes Danny Stanzel. He's sitting his car in the middle of the circuit, defending from Tiff Liddell. Into Knickerbrook chicane they go. Liddell been racing for 40 years. He raced in this car as his first race car, which he won from an Autosport prize 40 years ago. Danny Stanzel only his second year of circuit racing. And ahead, Stuart Baird, also another driver that's been racing for a good number of years. And Perty Kaviri, who built this car in period, the Cavanti, built and designed it. Stanzel with Nadell behind. They're just starting to drop off the touring cars in front, and now Nadell goes down the inside into Lodge Corner. He goes through. He's up into 6th. Good move there from Nadell, but he's definitely feeling the need to defend from Danny Stanzel. And he comes back to the racing line. He's got the position then as they pass the two stricken cars of Morris and Buckton, who didn't give each other racing room. We're on to the final lap of the race. Callum Grant looking in pursuit for victory. Two cars in front going side by side. Grant goes to the outside of them. He's on the grass. Callum Grant on the grass through Island Bend on the fastest corners at Oulton Park. He's bumping across the grass through the gravel. He's back on the circuit, still leading the race. Massively scary moment there from Callum Grant. He had a lead of 5.7 seconds to Mark Shaw. He'd been pulling it out once more after coming down to about 4.5 seconds 3 or 4 laps ago. And now Callum Grant, is he going to be... He's got the lead still, but Mark Shaw a lot closer, I'm sure. He's going to have to try and lap these cars once again as they go down towards Knickerbrook. There's Grant on the inset getting past the slower car. He goes in very deep. He's almost on the grass. There's Mark Shaw. Hardly any time behind at all now. So they exit Knickerbrook. So the two cars leading, the first two cars in this race. Got a good number of cars to lap on this final lap. Grant now passing Roger Arnold. It was Stephen King's make-on. He was trying to go round the outside of Island Bend, went out of room. He was on the grass, in the gravel, back on the racetrack and in the lead. With Mark Shaw hunting him down. The two Merlin Mark 20s then into Lodge Corner for the final time. The Nigel Grant Motorsport prepared car of Callum then leads the way. He's going to win the race. 12th round of the historic Formula 4 Championship this weekend, sponsored by Grandstand Motorsports. And it's a win for Grant, with Mark Shaw taking 2nd place. It was 3rd for Robert Wainwright. Stuart Baird took 4th of that great battle that ended up with 6 cars in it once more. And 5 cars even. Perty Kaviri was 5th. Tiff Nadell in 6th after a couple of offs. Danny Stanzel ahead of his dad. Kevin just half a second between the pair of them. Roland Svensson took 9th. Jonathan Baines up into 10th after having to pass a good number of cars after that slow start. That was your top 10 of the 12th round championship before heading to Brands Hatch with a double header before the final round of the series, which will be at the traditional Silverstone finale. Next will be Richard Mitchell leads the championship heading to Brands Hatch by just 19 points to James Buckton.